own my private business in rural development. I have a background in economics and rural sociology, and those combinations actually what also makes it interesting for me, what's happening in the grassroots area. So that's what I share my thoughts today with you. Thank you for inviting me for this. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah. Concept versus practice. When we look at the concept of the multi-actor approach, I think no one will contest that this has added value. The importance of the complementary experiences and knowledge of partners and actors is highly valued by all who are involved. That's not the point. However, we still see that there is a discrepancy between concepts and practice. And how does that come? And I think one of the main insights is that every initiative has its own challenges and characteristics. So every initiative is case dependent, and it starts also with what was the proximate motive to start an initiative. Sometimes it's a subsidy tender, which is offering business opportunities for business. Last period, the RDP measure 16 offered a lot of business opportunities. But also sometimes there is a research question needed for business perspective, so business are invited. Sometimes there is just a problem to solve or an ID. We heard also the testimonial in the video a couple of minutes ago. And sometimes it's just the momentum. There happens something in society which urges the need for a multi-actor approach to solve something. It's a situation which affects all of us. And then the question is, who is in? Most times we see the usual suspects, but that's not always the best solution. So who decides who is in? That's also a very important question. And then you see who is taking the initiative. From my experience, I see that the snowball methods to invite members or invite actors is also very effective, because sometimes it's not in your first circle of your network, but in your second. And so the question, are you or do you know an actor who might be interested in this project, is a very fruitful question. So that's about how can you start and how do you make your consortium, and that's difficult enough. And well, I was very happy to learn about the platforms, and that's in this period with digital platforms and a lot of opportunities to keep business involved. It's a very good development, I guess. Next slide, please. When you have business involved, there is always a very important question for business, and that's what's in it for me. Because entrepreneurs and business actors, for them, research is not often their core business. So there must be something in a multi-actor approach which attach them, which affects them, so that they decide why they should participate. And then there is also a difference between your individual business interest, or is it just for the sector or the branch you are in? For example, when you invest time and effort in a public finance project, then you actually benefit all your competitors in the meantime. And that's for some entrepreneurs or business parties serious reason not to participate in advance, because you have to share all your secrets. That's how it feels for some parties. I think this is something that fades out because the necessity of sharing knowledge is increasing. But then we also see there is what is your core business and how extended is your company, because big companies like industry or agri companies have the resources to organize and finance their R&D. They participate, that's what we often see. But we see also that research indicates that farmers, individual farmers, are less involved. And that's not always because of they do not want to or are not interested. They just doesn't have the resources to participate, because a serious multi-actor project demands a massive amount of time and effort, and that doesn't just line up with their activities on their own farms. When we look at farms, and that's where I am mostly involved with, we see also that in the Netherlands we have many family farms, and family farms, the main massive amount of work must be done by themselves. So you cannot be on the farm and not on the farm in the same time. So that's also a difficulty. Sometimes we see it is tried to be solved with money, so that the farmers are compensated financially. However, the work on the farm is still waiting. So that's not always the solution. What we also see is the project planning versus the rhythm of the entrepreneurs and the farmers. In summertime, it's more difficult for farmers to participate in projects than in wintertime. So not always the pace of the project enables or disables the farmers or the actors to participate. And what we also see is that in practice, it comes together at the farm or in the entrepreneur. So the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And that's true for research projects. That's true for innovation projects. But it's also true for participatory policy development. So we see that the same actor, the same business people, the same farmers and entrepreneurs are invited in many processes. So they also have to focus and prioritize to which of the initiatives they dedicate some time and to which not. So that's also a thing we see in practice. So that's, I think, the main message of this. Then we see how to improve engagement. And sometimes I see that the fact that farmers are not involved is interpreted as a lack of engagement. And well, as you made aspect from my former information, that I think it's a misunderstanding. It's not always that people are not engaged. Often farmers just cannot get involved because of the way the multi-actor projects are designed, because they cannot leave their farms, they do not have the resources or whatever. So I think there is a big challenge in the research design to enable all potential actors equally, so that they have the chance to participate. And then another related aspect is the adaptive project design. What we often see is that when you start a project, you start with a grand and compelling idea and design how your project would work. And having a plan is a good thing, but what previous speakers also said, it's always getting different than you think. So you have to be more flexible. And I think that adaptive project design is also one of the most important things for a success, because sometimes it's just too conceptual. Other times it's not yet relevant for the business parties, the business actors to participate, but evolving the project, it could be become more relevant. And then there must also be an opportunity to embark. The timing is not always ideal. So sometimes just the moment where a project or an initiative started disables potential actors to participate. So it's good if it's flexible and adaptive, that they can join later on maybe. And then we come up with my final remarks, that communication and dissemination is so important, because what we often see is when you communicate about your project, about your results, it's fires, it's lighting a fire in other people's minds, and they become aware and they become enthusiastic, and then your consortium can also be enriched with, well, the second or the third or the fourth stage people and actors who embark. Big things start small. That's actually what I really believe. So I think this is it for now.